I often say that I can never be surprised in this building, but for the American Heart Association to be against this bill.
If you're online a lot, you will read a lot about Bobby Kennedy. I know a lot of people in the chat love Bobby Kennedy and think that Bobby Kennedy was the difference between voting MAGA and not voting MAGA. Bobby Kennedy was the difference between seeing Trump as the figure that emerged in 2016, a populist, a nationalist, an American first nativist. But now, what is Trump? What is this man who brings Kid Rock into the Oval Office? What is this movement against globalism and imperialism? Why does the legacy media spend so much time trying to attack it and destroy it? Me, I was significantly impacted by Bobby Kennedy joining the MAGA movement. But I know a lot of you think that Bobby Kennedy, and if you're a fan of like Ian Carroll, you'd have seen a bunch of stuff about that. But I happen to know that Bobby Kennedy is a beautiful, good, decent man. I will vouch for that dude. I will vouch for him. So why is it that the American corporate world is turning on Bobby Kennedy with such ferocity? Well, probably because of the old objectives that they have always had. Big food and big pharma will be threatened by these movements in American health. The American Heart Association, for example, accepts money from companies like Coca-Cola and Kellogg's. Is that one company? No, Kraft. Anyway, let's get into this story right now, because we got to learn how to significantly change the American psyche, American health, and more importantly, even than that, oppose the imperialist agenda that's got my country by the throat. First of all, let's have a look at this. The American Heart Association has sent an employee to Texas to fight a bill that would stop food stamps being spent on sugary, salty foods. Let me know in the comments and chat if you think that there should be welfare for the poorest Americans. And let me know if you agree with me that that food, when necessary, should be locally grown or locally reared organic food, that we should have a healthier America. What kind of psychic scar does your great nation bear that it thrives on making people sick and ill? Let's get into it.
I often say that I can never be surprised in this building, but for the American Heart Association to be against this bill.
SB 379 seeks to remove soda, candy, potato and corn chips, and cookies from the list of items eligible for purchase with SNAP.
My name is Alec Puente, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for the American Heart Association. I'm here to testify today in opposition to Senate Bill 379.
I would encourage you to look at what it restricts.
The Heart Association is concerned about potential impacts of this bill on participation and population health. Imposing nutritional restrictions will interfere with the primary function of SNAP, reducing hunger, without reducing root causes of chronic disease.
I'm here because I want to support the children on this program and protect them from the chronic disease that sugar will lead them to develop. I actually advocated for this bill in Arizona and was shocked by the big soda companies sending their own person to come and advocate for the fact that there's no correlation between soda consumption and obesity, which is just a straight up lie.
Very interesting to see that the Heart Association would protest against measures designed to make the poorest Americans healthier. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat. Here's Andrew Halberman's response. This is really terrible. AHA, please give us one justification for sugary soda in service to health. Nutritious food and drink is what people, especially children, need most. No legitimate cardiologist would support this. No pediatrician will keep amplifying. Then he applauds someone that's been supporting it. Here's a person that I turn to continually on matters of nutrition, friend of the show, Callie Means. Callie Means, of course, famously worked for Coca-Cola and then became a kind of whistleblower, talking in depth and at length about the dangers of corn syrups and sugars. Here's his response to this article from the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal spoke to 30 packaged food company leaders. They said their greatest business threat was Americans wanting to be healthy. How do you feel about that? Let me know in the comments and chat. It seems that some of the most powerful interests in your country benefit from keeping you sick, like you are on some kind of conveyor belt of sickness where you eat food that makes you ill, then you have to take drugs that make you better. They profit. Furthermore, there's the tangential, less direct, but equally significant benefit to the powerful that if you're eating bad food and taking bad farmer all the time. You're like some delirious nitwit. Let me know if, like me, you have joined the health revolution, whether your tongue is methylene blue every single morning, whether you're continually necking various mushroom-derived products. Let me know what supplements you're taking. Are you creatined up to the nines like me, drinking that powder, stirring it, it settles at the bottom every day? Because this is a two-sided argument. There's no reason at all why American health couldn't significantly change with the right leadership, that even the poorest Americans could be eating locally sourced food, locally grown and reared animals, if they're eating animals, locally grown vegetables and products. But what that would mean is a breakdown in big agriculture, the kind of big agriculture that's supported by Bill Gates, that rampaged around the world, a modern-day nerd Viking, ensuring that Indian agriculture was patented up and totally controlled, getting involved in Africa where he wasn't wanted or needed. This is a chance, a real chance for you Americans to eat healthier, get stronger, keep your government accountable. I'm one of them people that's totally changed their perspective on something like the right to bear arms. I used to have a woolly liberal view, like, oh, you can't have firearms. Of course people are getting killed if the population is armed. Now I see it the way that you see it, that if you have an armed population, it keeps the government accountable. Perhaps you'll argue back right now in the Rumble chat and say you think that the military couldn't oppose an armed population. Certainly it's a lot more difficult to control an armed population, but we don't just mean armed with armaments and artillery, we mean armed with information. That's why they want to control platforms like Rumble. They don't want you knowing the truth about the pandemic. They don't want you knowing the truth about the various so-called conspiracy theories that light up these spaces. Educate yourself, nourish yourself on good food and good information, so that you can oppose these corrupt systems. So let me go back to that Callie Means tweet. This is what the Wall Street Journal said. Another concern for food companies is that the so-called Make America Healthy Again, or MAHA movement, could begin influencing low-income consumers' eating habits as well. While Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s call for the removal of artificial dyes from the food supply likely won't pose a significant financial challenge, many companies have already eliminated these additives in their European products and could easily do the same here. The real threat lies in MAHA's potential to reshape Americans' overall perception of food. Now, that's precisely what you want government to do. If you're going to have a government, why not have them reshape the perspectives of a nation to the benefit of that population, instead of, as has been happening, controlling the consciousness of individuals, communities, and entire nations and the planet as a whole in order to facilitate the deep state and powerful global commercial corporate interests. The pandemic was the raising of the curtain. It was the tearing of the veil. It was a mass awakening for all of us. How can we still be quibbling and filibustering among one another now that we know the truth, that God is real, that we have the opportunity to create and prepare for his return? Why would we quibble and squabble, eating sugary foods and salty foods when we could be awakening together? Let me know what you think about that in the comments in the chat. This ain't your run-of-the-mill soulless corporate brew. No, this is anti-aging coffee infused with CA-AKG, a compound so potent it's like it's giving your mitochondria a pep talk. It supports cellular health, it combats aging, it boosts endurance, it gives you an erection that lasts for simply weeks, that at some points might be embarrassing and at other points actually illegal. Keeping you sharper, not the erection, that's your mind. You don't want an angular penis, no one needs that. Sharper than a conspiracy theorist at a government press conference. Within this rebellious little bundle, you'll find their top-selling anti-aging coffee, the ultra-rare Pea Berry Blend. It's so exquisite, it makes regular coffee taste like the dregs of an Elon Musk paternity test. You, baby, I got to get it down ya. You got to. It's going to anti-age you to the middle of last week. A sleek 1775 branded tumbler, you get one of those too, and other exclusive treasures. Arrgh, you won't stumble upon elsewhere. Normally, this collection would set you back $200 dues, but in a mood that defies capitalist logic, it's yours for $100. The catch? There's only 1,000 of these packs up. Once they're gone, they're gone, never to return. And to sweeten an already sweet deal, every dollar you spend enters you into a draw to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 of cash. Act swiftly. You've got 1 month before this opportunity vanishes like accountability in DC. So go to 1775coffee.com/brand and you will be getting a $100 pack as well as entered in a sweet, sweet draw. Oh, look at that. I call that the golden nipple of justice, baby. Apparently, the world is changing fast because it used to be a conspiracy theory to be concerned about fluoride. Utah has banned fluoride. Would that have happened without our man?
Utah has become the first state to ban fluoride. drinking water. It's pushing past opposition from some dentists and health organizations who warn that the move could lead to medical problems for some people. Republican Governor Spencer Cox signed the legislation on Thursday, barring cities and communities from deciding whether to add the mineral to their water systems. The Associated Press says that Florida, Ohio, and South Carolina are considering similar measures as well.
The world is changing fast, baby. America is getting healthier again. I remember it was when I watched Kim Anderson's film, What the Fork, or one of those vegan movies. You know, I used to be vegan. Of course you do. What vegan ever shut up for 10 minutes about their veganism? None that I've ever met. Now, in that vegan movie by Kip Anderson, he went to like the Cancer Association of America and the Heart Association of America and found out that they accepted extraordinary amounts of funding from big food corporations. Let me know in the comments and chat if that's a practice that should be banned. If you want to reshape America, you can't spend all your time just arguing about transgender issues, whether you're for it or against it. Ultimately, you have to move to matters of the spirit, matters of control, maximum subsidiarity. Why shouldn't you run your own communities? Why should your power be impeded and impaired so that big food can benefit from you being sick, so that big pharma can jump on the next engineered pandemic in order to sell their next product? What you need in a position of power is the likes of Bobby Kennedy and the coterie that now surrounds him. I include my good friend Dr. Oz in that, and Marty Makari and Jay Bhattacharya. These people can change government. Democracy actually can work, but these institutions have been captured too long by globalist corporatist interests. As an old school lefty liberal, I would have understood that to mean groups like Kraft controlling big food and Pfizer controlling big pharma. That's why my little heart pumping good and strong, baby. That's why my children are looking healthy and fly right now, because you don't get that shit in my arm for free, let me tell you. If them vaccine companies had really wanted me to take their product, what they should have done is hid it somewhere in my house and told me under no circumstances to touch that. Because that's the way you get a drug in my body, baby, by making it banned. But I'm 22 and a half years, clean and free from all drugs now, only mainlining the light of the Lord, the holy luminosity that comes direct from him, and that's the drug that I'd recommend to you too. The American Heart Association, if they're recommending sugary, salty foods, are obviously totally corrupt. Obviously, that would apply to any oncological groups. And we are in a revolutionary moment when it comes to the health of your great nation. Join the awakening. Oppose big pharma, oppose big food, and oppose corrupt media that support them because they have to, because they pay their wages. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat?
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.